In this video, we'll see what happened before the Meijin retirement game. So we'll travel back to 1933, when the Japanese newspaper Mainichi Shimbun, to commemorate its 20,000th issue and also to celebrate Honinbo Shusai's 60th birthday, organized a match between him and the young prodigy, Go Seigen, who was 19 years old and only 5 dan at the time. Let's study this game together and see why it was later called the game of the century. The players had 24 hours of thinking time. Go Seigen is black, Honinbo Shusai is white. Looking at this today might not look very unusual, but remember, this is 1933. At the time, this is the classic era of Go, and Go Seigen opens the game with San-san, star point, and tengen. Before the game, he even asked if it was okay to start the game in this unusual way, and he was told it's fine. And after playing this, Honinbo Shusai almost quit this game because he thought that Go Seigen was making fun of him. Nevertheless, the game continued. You can see that this game is very much the clash between the classic and old opening style of Honinbo Shusai and Go Seigen's new opening strategies. Only 3-4, corner enclosures and extensions from white, and a strange center formation from Go Seigen. Another corner enclosure. And at this point, Honinbo Shusai responds, here. This move looks a little slack, but when we remember that this is a large knight corner enclosure, so there's still some invasion here, there's still aji. And so if the corner was like this, Honinbo Shusai would never have played here. This looks indeed very small. But with this corner, he responds here, prevents the invasion, and also protects the corner. Another extension, and another bold jump into the center. And finally, an invasion. If this game was played today, you might expect something like a kick. White would extend, black would jump, then white extends here, it's a small base, white would maybe push here first, and something like this, and white would make a small life in this area. But Go Seigen chooses a much more unusual move that works with all of the stones that he placed on the board earlier. He covers the stone like this. White jumps, threatening to connect underneath, but before protecting here, not to let white escape into the center, black presses. If white now responds here, then maybe black would cover the corner and make white very small. White would have to connect on the second line. So Honinbo Shusai doesn't like it. He invades the corner right away. And after this, black switches to the top side. In modern Go, this move could have been played much earlier than this, because it takes control over the top side and also prepares to attack the 2 white stones. Black now invades to keep the white stones under attack, and here the game was adjourned for the first time. Naturally, with 24 hours of thinking time each, they couldn't finish the game in just one sitting. That's why it lasted for several months. And the rules of the time stated that white had the right to adjourn the game at any point on their turn. And Honinbo Shusai was Meijin, so he would play white against everybody. What a coincidence, right? So he could adjourn this game on his turn and then use this time between games to think about his next move, or about what he was going to do next. And this is exactly what he did. He adjourned the game on his turn 13 times. And it's not just that. Every time during these breaks, Honinbo Shusai would go back and analyze the game with his students of the Honinbo school. A lot of them were strong. They were professionals. So Honinbo Shusai had all the help in the world to find the best moves and try to win this game. The young Go Seigen was at a bit of a disadvantage here. And here's the plan that White came up with. White attaches here. And after this, instead of extending, which is also possible, White plays a double Hane. Atari. And in this shape, it's very important not to connect the stone. If you connect, it's a bad shape. And for example, if Black now does something like this, Atari, Atari, White can take the stone, but first of all, Black gets this Atari. And now, if White takes, this shape is ugly. All the white stones are clustered. If White connects, then Black can play this one and make this a false eye. Either way, White's shape is bad. So after this Atari, to avoid the bad shape, White's plan is to give up that stone. Black captures, Atari. Black connects. And now just treat all of those weaknesses very lightly and forget about them for a while. White covers the black stone and begins to attack. Black escapes, and White connects here. This looks like a passive connection, but it's not. It's actually almost a forcing move. Because if Black now doesn't respond there, Black's shape is not that good. If, for example, Black does something at the top side, then White could play Hane, and then double Hane. And then there's this move, that's White's threat. It will be very difficult for Black to get out of this situation with a good shape. So instead of this, Black has to jump here to fix this. And immediately, White prevents Black's development. Next, Black attaches here. White Hane. Black needs to come up with a plan. The newspapers at the time, and it's hard to blame them because they just wanted to sell more copies, advertised this match not just as a clash of old versus new, but as a clash between Japan and China, because Go Seigen was born in China, and his original name was Wu Qingyuan. So some Japanese nationalists even threw stones at Go Seigen's house during this match. And nevertheless, the game continues. Black makes a clever cut here. The idea being that this stone can be sacrificed. But if White takes it now, then Black will play this Atari. And if White takes, then this Atari is painful. If White connects, then Black also gets this Atari and fixes the shape. This is not happy for White, so White needs to come up with a different plan. White extends. Black extends. It's a fight. White connects, and Black connects. Black makes a proper move next, fixing the cutting point with this beautiful tiger's mouth shape. And now White needs to protect here as well. If White starts killing the two stones in the corner, White's shape over here is not strong enough for that. Black would Hane, and these white stones would collapse. Maybe White would capture these, but everything here will be broken. So, no choice. White fixes the shape first. And Go Seigen now has time to live in the corner. These three white stones are now in an awkward position. White needs to save them, but it doesn't seem so easy. So in the game, White pushes here. Hane. It will be a very easy move to play this, but this would allow White to fix their shape in Sente, and then probably just attack the corner. So, no slack moves. Black keeps on pressing. Under this pressure, White can't think about killing the corner now. If White does this, then Black could play this peep, and that would kill the stones. This move should probably work as well. So White protects, and Black jumps down and lives in the corner. Black is alive. Now cut. Black connects. This stone might help white later if there's a fight in this area. And yet in the game, Honinbo Shusai plays another one. And black covers and kills them both. So why did Honinbo Shusai sacrifice another stone? Was it really necessary? Actually, white had a very far-reaching plan here. This exchange is helpful, and let me show you why. So suppose white doesn't play it, and just cuts here, because this is where white wants to play. Now black would exchange this, white would block, and then black connect here. Black seems to have an obvious weakness, so white cuts. But Atari, white extends, and again, black connects. Now there is no cut, but white can try this move. But in this case, black can just play here. And if white connects, like this, white needs to save the stones this way, but before connecting, black can push. White needs to extend. White's liberties are tight, and very unexpectedly now, black can Hane. And after this Atari, once again, black doesn't connect the stone, but plays here. White can take, but now Atari. And this is a co-fight. White can't connect, so white would need to extend. Black would take. And after this, Go Seigen would ignore any co-threat, win this ko, and win the game. So this cut is impossible for white in this case. It results in a disaster. However, in the game, with their power of prediction, white made this exchange. And now, the same push here. Black makes the exchange. And if black now tries to do the same thing and connect here, it's not going to work anymore. White is going to cut. And if black tries to save the 3 stones now, white can play here, and the 4 stones are captured. So, Go Seigen had to compromise. Instead of connecting here, he played here. This way allowing white to cut. Up until now, the game has been fairly even. That is to say, this game was played without komi, because komi wasn't introduced yet. So Go Seigen started the game with a 6-point advantage, but as we know today, all of these high moves that Go Seigen played instead of corner enclosures get criticized by the AI quite a bit. So after that opening, the game became even without the komi. Go Seigen now needs to somehow solidify his central area. And in the game, he chooses to play here, just fixing the elephant jump. But actually, before playing this big Gote move, he could have played a few center exchanges to make his territory stronger. For example, this is something that he could have chosen. If white wants to stay connected here and plays this, black could Hane, Atari, black connects. Now, there's a double Atari, so white has to connect. Now this is also black center. White responds, black connects. And again, black is threatening to cut and capture the 2 stones. White connects. All of this strengthens the black wall in Sente. This would have allowed Go Seigen to get to the next stage of the game with a small advantage. And he could now play this move, or maybe even continue playing something aggressive. For example, this move over here, maybe this move, threatening an invasion, or this attachment, trying to make this territory even bigger. However, in the game, he chose to defend here, without strengthening his area first. And this allowed Honinbo Shusai to make a daring invasion. At this moment, Go Seigen hasn't yet reinforced his framework, and the Meijin uses it to invade. He plays here, threatening to cut through and kill the 2 stones. Go Seigen needs to respond. And now white doesn't just feel satisfied with a small reduction here. White plays an attachment to try and fight with black. If a fight begins, this stone will definitely come in handy. Black Hanes, and a cut. Black has to save this stone. So black extends. White covers. Now black needs to save both the 2 stones and this stone as well. How can he do that? Go Seigen came up with this move. This shouldn't work, right? White just extends, and black can't play here because there's Atari and white can capture, but this is exactly Go Seigen's plan. He's prepared to sacrifice those 2 stones. So Atari, black extends and saves the stone. White takes these 2. And now, at this moment, black would probably insert this forcing exchange before saving the 2 stones. But Go Seigen didn't. He just played here to capture these 2. And immediately, Honinbo Shusai sees the opportunity. He plays here. This move will never be allowed to black ever again. How do we respond to this? I mean, if black can play this one, this is a great shape for black, and this exchange would be terrible for white. But unfortunately, this beautiful tiger's mouth feels a little bit dangerous, because now white can try saving these 2 stones with this peep. Black would have to connect. And now, what if white cuts here? Okay, no panic. Black can Atari. And this is a ladder. The white stones are captured. But this also means that before playing any of these, white could start with any forcing move in this area. A cut here, a peep here, and this would be a ladder breaker. This is too uncertain and too unsafe. And that's the reason why Go Seigen did not play this tiger's mouth. And he just connected here. Next, the Meijin cuts and threatens to Atari and connect on the second line. And you can probably pause the video right now and try to find the next move for black. How can black prevent this connection? Did you guess this Atari? Well, then all the points don't go to you, because in this case, white would capture, and this is a bad shape. White still has some kind of Atari here and connect these stones. In the game, Go Seigen played this jump. This is the proper shape. This move threatens to extend and save everything by killing the 2 white stones. So white has to capture, and now black can take these 2. What can the Meijin do with these 2 white stones now? Well, nothing, but white can sell them at a very high price. So in the game, white plays here. And of course, if Go Seigen wants to capture these stones no matter what, this is going to look very sad. White has to block, white will connect, white needs to block here as well, and then in the future this will also be sente, and black's territory will reduce again and again. So seeing this, Go Seigen said, no way, I'm going to play another big move. Now it's only reasonable for the Meijin now to follow up here. So white connects up all stones, and again it's only reasonable for black to follow up here. So he continues pressing here. This move actually threatens to cut off the 3 white stones, but that's quite small now. What's more important is that this move threatens to attack the entire white group like this. White needs to protect. So finally, black has time to play at the top. And white also has time to connect his stones at the bottom. We're close to the end of yet another one of the playing sessions here. And this just goes to show what kind of deep and methodical and slow reader Honinbo Shusai really was. At this point, he jumped here, threatening to continue moving into the center. Go Seigen replied after 2 minutes, just blocked. At this point, Honinbo Shusai thought for 3.5 hours. And then, without making a move, adjourned the game. And after all that deliberation, Honinbo Shusai still blocked on the second line. Black cuts, white connects. Now, this is also black's sente to strengthen black's area. White needs to connect here. And now that black is very thick in the center and strong at the top, it is only reasonable that black can allow himself to play more aggressively. It's time for an invasion. How can white respond to this now? If white blocks from the outside, black can just connect or live in the corner. If white blocks, black can extend and kill this stone. Either way, white is going to lose a lot. So Honinbo Shusai makes an exchange first to make himself stronger. If black responds to this now, maybe white will try to attack this stone and kill it. But black doesn't respond, and a big exchange follows. Black invades, white blocks, and black starts to escape. White jumps, black pushes. At this point, white could simply just keep going like this. But if the game goes like this, probably Honinbo Shusai didn't like that black would just connect up all their stones. White is left with this group inside the black area. This probably seemed a little too unsafe. So white makes a shape move, this attachment. Atari. The black stones have almost escaped. But white will now live at the top. Black connects. White defends. It's time for black to take some profit. So Go Seigen finally cuts here. And connects, having captured the 3 white stones. But now, this is white sente. This is also white sente. And this move is very important because it gives white a larger base. If white doesn't play here, then imagine what happens if black plays here first. White would have to live here with only 2 eyes, very small. This is also very big. Atari. And before responding in the corner, white plays this forcing move. If Go Seigen just passively connects here now, then white could take the corner, or tenuki and take a big point somewhere else. And looking back at this now, maybe Go Seigen should have just connected here. This way, all of the black stones will be all safe and connected, and it will be difficult for them to get under attack. However, in the game, Go Seigen resists. He takes the corner instead, saying, if you cut me now, I can just live there. Black connects. But now, this is white sente, threatening these stones. Black responds. Now white cuts. And this is also sente against the corner. If black doesn't respond, then white can hane here and then hane again. Hane brings death, as we know, and black will just die. So black needs to live. And now, very unpleasantly, white jumps here, and the black stones are under attack. Go Seigen handled the situation very smoothly. This is a threat. White is threatening to cut, but instead of connecting, black plays here, which threatens the white shape as well. However, despite all this brilliance, black couldn't see what was coming next. This was the beginning of a new playing session, and at this moment, Honinbo Shusai unexpectedly played this bomb explosion Tsuji. White invades here. This move is threatening to connect to the top stone and also to the left. If black blocks here, then black needs to cut, and white can now cut here. Black's shape is not strong enough for this fight. Atari. But now, this Atari first. This. This. Black connects. White connects. And black only has 2 liberties left, so black has to cut here and capture these stones. And after that, with this capture, white would take these 4 stones and the game would be over. Such an incredible move that completely changes the flow of this game, and there was a lot of controversy about it. There was a rumor that hasn't been either confirmed or disproved up until today that this move was actually not found by Honinbo Shusai, but by one of his students, Weiqi. So in December of 1936, which is 3 years after this game was played, And presumably in response to all these rumors, Shusai himself had commented on the moment of discovery of this move. He said, "I had a mere 2 hours of my time allowance left, and I could not afford to waste even 1 minute. At this important juncture, I devoted almost an hour of my time and was able to recover my composure. Then, with no distractions at all, regardless of whether my opponent was Go Seigen or whether I would win or lose, all that was pushed to one side. I looked at the board exactly as if I was looking at someone else's game, and then suddenly, in a flash, I saw white 160. Now we'll never know the truth, what really happened then, but it was probably this move that eventually tipped the game in white's favor. And we also gotta give Go Seigen some credit. Seeing this move and how powerful it was, he didn't lose his composure, but he found a nice counter sequence. I'm not gonna comment much now. Take a look. Black managed to keep most of the points in the center, and also these two white stones can't really escape. If white tries this obvious move, black can play here, and after white tries to escape, black has this tsuji. The white stones are captured. So instead of this, in the game white played here, threatening to cut and preparing to escape. Black threatens here, white pushes. At this point, Go Seigen already knows he's going to lose some of these stones, so he plays this exchange first, otherwise he won't be able to get it later. White responds. Atare. White defends on the left. Black now needs to capture the two stones. Black jumps here, and now Honinbo Shusai is going to capture these 5 stones. By the way, do you see how to do it? You can pause the video, think about it. If white just plays something like this, or like this, black can connect, and all the stones are safe. But in the game, and this is the tsuji to capture, white throws in. Black captures, atare, black captures. This is white's sente first, white blocks, and white captures with a snapback. The game will continue for another 60 moves or so, but we can omit that. White already has a small advantage here, and in the end, Honinbo Shusai will win by 2 points. So this game went down in history as a game of supreme brilliance. Go Seigen's 3 novelty opening moves, which were meant to challenge Honinbo Shusai's classic Go, but also as a game where Honinbo Shusai played a brilliant invasion at move 160. The clash of the old and the new, Japan and China, but also a game where the rules were abused in favor of one of the players, where a game could be adjourned at any point and then continued after that after a thorough analysis. And it's actually this abuse that propelled the introduction of sealed move practice, when before adjourning the game, the move was sealed and revealed only at the beginning of next session. Neither player could think about their next move for several days and then play it at the next session. The sealed move practice was already common in chess at the time, and the first time it was used in Go happened in Honinbo Shusai's retirement match that we already talked about in one of our earlier videos. Many people still believe to this day that the Meijin's victory of 2 points is a bit hollow, seeing how he adjourned the game so many times and discussed it with his students. So what do you think? Was it a fair victory? Leave your opinions in the comments. And don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next videos. This is Go Magic.